Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's ItsAnnaLouise, and today's video is going to be the second part to my how to breed Bettas little mini series kind of thing. So these are definitely really important videos. If you haven't watched part 1 to this, then go ahead and watch it. There's just so much information that I decided to make into 3 parts, and there of course is a video from almost 2 years ago, I believe, too, that I filmed, which I will link above here as well, so go check those out. But like I said, this is part 2, and in today's video I'm going to be talking to you on how to find the perfect breeding pair, and then how to condition them and get them ready to breed. And then the next video will be all about after they breed and then raising them from here on out. So if you're interested in knowing how to breed Bettas and getting all the good information, then keep on watching today's video. Let me take a sip of my Starbucks and then we'll get right on it. Okay, so when it comes to picking the perfect breeding pair, I did barely touch base on this in the first video. I did not go into detail though, but I did touch base a small bit. Lord. Okay, anyway, I touched base on it a little bit, but one important thing is to make sure you're getting the same tail types, and along with that, I did say that it's okay if you get a placotte half moon and a regular half moon. That is different than getting like a crown tail and a half moon. You don't want to like mix it up that way to where they're going to be like mutts per se. Genetically, a lot of things can go wrong that way, so you're going to want to make sure that you are getting fish of the same tail type. Now, another really important thing to remember when choosing the perfect breeding pair is to not just run to the pet store and choose up some fish. Like, don't just walk into your local PetSmart/Petco and grab some Bettas and then go try to breed them. That's very irresponsible and not right. So there is a couple of instances where you could possibly breed pet store fish and then it be okay. I've seen it done before, but it is taking a big risk, and the only way that I would say that it is okay to breed Betta fish from the pet store is if they have perfect, like complete perfect form. And then that is still risky because we don't know where their genes come from. Now, when going to a breeder to get Betta fish, you're gonna know what their lineage is, and you're gonna know that they are a lot more healthy. When you go to the pet store and get fish, just in general, they're not gonna be as healthy. They're bred, they're mass bred, and it's kind of like a puppy mill situation. They're just not taken care of, they're mass bred, and they're not as healthy as bred fish that are by breeders like such as myself and some other really amazing breeders out there. You know, it's just not the same. They're extremely gross, stunted, and they just have diseases and just things passed down in their lines. So go ahead and, you know, browse on Instagram. Instagram is a great place to find Betta breeders, or even on the eBays or Facebook for even that matter. But you know, of course, I do know this one really good Betta breeder, and you know, she's gonna have babies soon, and like, yeah, that's me, so just saying. But anyway, definitely go and research and like look for a good breeder who has fish that you're gonna know that they're healthy and that they're good and that they are going to be fine being bred. I've had people breed my fish before and have had such good success, which makes me so happy. And yeah, so that's that. And I've had people even enter my fish into Betta competitions and have them win, I believe, first and second prize. So like, that makes me a proud Betta mom. But anyway, that's just really important. Don't just go to the fish store like PetSmart, Petco, and grab some fish and breed them. Please go to a breeder and make sure you're getting the same tail type. Okay, so now let's talk about conditioning them. So what conditioning means is that it just basically means that you are getting these fish ready to breed with each other. You are conditioning them, getting them healthy, feeding them good foods, etc., and preparing them to essentially breed. So what you're going to want to do, which I barely touched base of this in the other video, whenever you get your fish in, you're going to want to put the male in the breeding tank already. Like I said, a 10-gallon is perfect for breeding. You're going to want to go ahead and put that male in there. Make sure you have the heater in there. You're going to want to have it set for like 84 degrees. 84 degrees is my go-to for Betta tanks, like for the breeding tank and for the babies, like when they're in their jars. 84 degrees, so write that down. Ow, I just pulled my hair. Anyway, and then you are going to want to make sure there's nothing on the bottom of that breeding tank. You do not want gravel or sand, anything like that, because it makes it harder for the dad to find the babies that way, like the eggs when they drop, stuff like that. You need a bare bottom tank. That is just how it goes. So like a lot of people who maybe don't know a lot about breeding, they may look at my videos with my babies and stuff and be like, ew, that tank looks gross, like the bottom is, you know, bare, and then like grime shows up worse on that. That's because it needs to be that way. That's the best way to have it. And you're not going to want a lot of stuff crowding in that breeding tank. You're going to want it very, very simple and bare. Now, as for the filter, you're going to want something that can be adjusted, such as a sponge filter. I think that is one thing I forgot in the other video. You're going to need sponge filters because you don't want a regular one. The sponge filter can be adjusted. So you're going to want to make sure that that's adjusted. You are going to need air pumps too. That's something else I did forget. Air pumps and sponge filters. Because sponge filters, the flow can be adjusted so it can be right for the babies. I mean, when the babies are just born, it's not like they are very strong swimmers. They're definitely not. And for the first little while, you're not even going to want the filter on. So you're going to want that sponge filter in there. Make sure that's off as well. And then your male should be good to go, other than if you want to add an Indian almond leaf or a little piece of styrofoam to entice the male to make a bubble nest. But now when it comes to the female, what I do is I go ahead and just put her in a jar, like one that one of the babies will be put in later. And that makes it so that I can transfer her to the breeding tank for the male to see her. So that's one really, really major part of this whole entire process, is for each day, at least for an hour, to like put the jar in the breeding tank so that the male can see the female and like flare at each other and stuff like that. So it just kind of just gets them used to each other, like if they were on dates or whatever, I guess. But you're gonna want to do that for like at least an hour a day, or around an hour. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly at an hour, but anyway, just for a little bit a day. And then after that, when it comes to food, the foods that you're gonna want to feed your bettas are some really good healthy foods, such as bloodworms. Bloodworms are the best for them, in my strong opinion. You're not gonna want to feed crappy Betta pellets like this. You may ask, why do I have these? These are left over from like 3 years ago when I first got my first fish, and I was learning a lot at that time. So these are left over like for extreme backup. But when you are conditioning a Betta to breed and they're gonna have tons of babies, this is a big no. The main thing that you're gonna want to feed them are frozen bloodworms, not freeze-dried. When you feed fish or anything freeze-dried anyway, they're not getting all the nutrients they need, because freeze-dried things have all the nutrients sucked out of them. So go ahead and get those frozen bloodworms to feed the fish, and you are going to want to feed them a lot too, and you're going to want to feed them 3 times a day. By feeding especially the female a lot, not only does it build up her energy, it builds up the eggs, because actually when a female Betta eats, the more eggs she produces. So about 3 times a day you're going to want to do that. And then for the male, you do the same, and that's basically just to build up his energy, because the male takes care of the babies for the first couple of days. They have very, very hard work to do, and so that just helps. So the number one thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're feeding them good foods. And if for some reason your fish does not like frozen bloodworms, you can feed them a healthy pellet, which that is like last resort. And for the very first time ever, I actually had to do that with the female of the mom of the babies I have now, and I fed her the Bug Bites by Fluval, the Betta formula. Bug Bites are very healthy, and that would be the only type of pellet really that I recommend when conditioning, if you cannot feed them the frozen live bloodworm. So before you start trying to actually breed your fish, when it comes to conditioning, you're going to want to at least do it for 1 week, because that just gets them settled into their home, because you know they've most likely been shipped in, unless for some reason you can find a breeder like local to you, which is definitely a rare thing. But if not, you're going to want to let them settle in. So you're going to want to do this stuff for about a week. So that means the food 3 times a day, just like feeding them. You'll notice your female's tummy get pretty big, which is good. It's not a bad thing when it comes to breeding. And then of course putting the female's jar into the male side at least once a day for around an hour. And then don't be alarmed if your male doesn't make a bubble nest right away. I mean, some of them do, some of them don't. Sometimes it takes until you actually release the female into the breeding tank before he will even make a nest, and that is totally fine. So if the end of the week is up and you do not see a bubble nest yet, go ahead and release that female. About 90-something% sure that at least within a day the male will build a bubble nest. So it's not something that you have to be too alarmed with. So another thing not to be alarmed with is the fact that the bettas will chase each other. It's a part of the process. The bettas will chase each other. There will be some fin nipping. It is very, very normal. The only thing that's not normal is if you see them tug at the mouth. Now that is actual fight to the death fighting, and then you're gonna want to remove the female from the male. But as long as, you know, like the male hasn't either destroyed all of her fins, which I mean you would be able to keep track, but like I said, some fin nipping is very normal, or if they're not like pulling at each other's mouths, then it's fine. They're gonna chase each other. The female's gonna try to hide. It's just part of the process, and it's totally okay. Also, don't be alarmed if your betta does not breed in the very first day. Sometimes it takes up to 3 days. After the 3-day mark, if they have not bred, then I would take them out and condition them again. But don't be alarmed, just let them be for those 3 days, and you know, they'll breed sometime in between those 3 days, or if not, you just pull them, condition them again, and try again. And I've had to do that myself. Once again, it's okay and it's completely normal. Also, within those 3 days, don't feed the fish. You're gonna let them go. And I'm giving that 3-day time period is just a window. Like if they breed in 1 day, fine. But while they're in there together, don't feed them. Just let them be. Don't mess with them. Only feed them if you like pull the female out after like 3 days of them not breeding. So another thing to mention is like what you want to look for, like signs that maybe, you know, shows that they are getting close to being able or ready to breed. And that will be that the female's face will be towards the ground. Like normally she'll be like pointed, like slanted towards the bottom, and she'll go to the bubble nest actually and go like right under it, and will stop running away from the male. It's a very, very good signal that she is ready to go ahead and breed. So her face will be pointed kind of down, and she'll hover right around that bubble nest, and the male will also go over to her, and they'll like kind of start circling each other and getting ready to like wrap. So those are some good signs, and you may not be there when they breed, like you just may not. And that's fine too. I have been there before, I've gotten to see it happen, and then I've also not been there before. But one thing that you do want to keep in mind is that after they breed, as soon as you notice it, like as soon as you notice it, get that female out, or she will at some point eat the eggs, and then it could even make the male eat them. So it's so important to get that female out whenever you notice that they have bred. But other than that, you're gonna obviously leave the male in there because the male's gonna take care of them for a few days until they're free swimming. But you know what? That's gonna be in the next video. So all that information on how to take care of the babies once the fish have spawned will be in the part 3 of how to breed betta fish. That will be the last video in this little series, and that will be next. So if you want to know how to take care of the betta fish right after the betta fish spawn, make sure to watch my 3rd video, which I will film and will be out sometime in the following week to 2 weeks. But other than that, that is enough info here for today for this video. I hope that this has helped you to know how to pick a great breeding pair and how to condition your fish and the signs to look for when it gets time for them to breed. I hope that this has been some really good, valuable information for you guys. Let me know down below what you think about this series. I would love to hear it from you. And if you have any questions. And before we go, I just want to thank my patrons as always. So thank you so much to Dylan, Courtney, Jeremy, Maddie, Davis, Mercy, Casey, Janae, Dusty, Jesse, and Lee. Welcome to the Patreon family, Lee. Thank you so much for being a patron, and thank all my other patrons for being patrons as well. If you want to join, you can get a lot of awesome perks. Trust me, go check them out. The link will be in the description box down below. And other than that, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, which you can do by hitting my face right up there, and you can watch another one of my videos by clicking right over there, and it would mean the world to me if you would do so. And I hope you guys have an amazing day or night or whenever you may be watching this, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.